All right, everybody. Welcome to episode 15 of Just the Gi Top podcast. So, just to go over quickly our regular panel members, we've got Ahmed Trani, we have Jordan Short, we have Rami Trani. Today, we're really excited. We've got Clark Gracie on. Clark is black belt under his father, Carly Gracie, and grandson of Brazilian Jiu Jitsu founder, Carlson Gracie Sr. So, Clark, did you maybe just want to talk a little bit about yourself, kind of what your life growing up in Jiu Jitsu has been like?
Yeah, just to correct you, it's Carlos Gracie Sr. is my grandfather.
Oh, sorry.
It says senior right there, Adam. I mean, come on, man.
Yeah. You said Carlos or Carlson? I couldn't understand. Anyways, it's Carlos.
Yes.
My grandfather. Yeah, I'm sorry, what was the question?
Sorry, just if you talk little bit about kind of your life growing up in Jiu Jitsu, just quickly.
Yeah, I guess growing up in Jiu-Jitsu, I mean, my father had a Jiu-Jitsu academy in San Francisco. I grew up in San Francisco, California when I was younger until I was about 15, and just grew up kind of like going to school and after school going to the academy every day. That was just like a regular part of my life, regular part of the day, just being exposed to the classes. And I suppose when I was about like 10, I started training more regularly. And when I was 12, I remember seeing that, my cousins are fighting in some of these like events right before the UFC started, some of these MMA events. But I thought, well, I better start training hard if I want to be good one day. And I guess the rest is history from there. Just training and stuck, just was like a mat rat in the academy.
Awesome.
I'm kind of interested just because, like you said, you started training since you were 10. I think you got your black belt sometime in your late 20s. I don't remember the exact how old you were.
I was like 20.
But yeah, I'm just curious because a lot of people I know, they start jiu-jitsu at 10. You see them kind of getting their black belts when they're like 19, 20 or whatever. What do you think it was that, or what's the main reason for why it was a little later, I guess?
Actually, my dad, had talked about giving me my black belt earlier, and I think I really wanted to feel like I deserved it. I really wanted to feel accomplished. Like I wanted to really compete a lot, and I basically had in my mind like, when I get to that next belt level, I want to feel that I can tap everybody in that next belt level. By the time when I get my brown belt, I want to be tapping out like all brown belts, not like get in there and kind of think like, okay, I'll be at the bottom of the chain, bottom of the brown belt. So I kind of like asked them to hold me back. I even when I got my black belt, it was a week before the Worlds, and I was asking my dad to give it to me after the Worlds, and he was talking with another one of my coaches, Rodrigo Medeiros, and they decided to just give it to me right before anyways, and I ended up competing as a black belt in that Worlds. That was my first one in 2010, and but I just really wanted to like get as much titles as I could, and I thought the next belt's just gonna be harder and harder.
Yeah.
I guess that was part of it,
It's almost like you want to look back and see all the accomplishments you've had at every belt. You don't just want to kind of end it try to start it all at black belt, I guess, right?
Yeah, and it's also like definitely that. A lot of cousins of mine, I have a big family, and there's a lot of cousins that maybe they train jiu-jitsu, they teach jiu-jitsu, but they're not really out there in the competition scene. And what happens is, I think with them, a lot of them get their black belts and they don't really compete very much because they were given the black belts by someone in their family that they think they're excited to get it, but they're not really ready to like compete at that really highest level. So I really wanted to feel that I was like ready for it. I wasn't just excited to get it just to get it, but I wanted to get it and be able to defend it at the same time.
Yeah.
So,
That makes sense.
Clark, that kind of speaks to in a recent interview, you were talking about not kind of wanting to rest on your name, right, and wanting to earn it. So is that another reason why you're probably one of the more, if not the most active competitor in your family right now? So is that kind of what drives all of that? The wanting to feel like you've earned your belt, wanting to feel like you aren't resting on the name.
Yeah, there's always a lot of pressure. People always asking me, you know, are you going to compete in this next tournament? How do you feel? Is there a lot of pressure being a Gracie? All this and that. And like a lot of people in my family have done a lot of great things, have grown the sport, have developed a lot, and I don't really want to feel like I'm just going to fall back on them and say, okay, you know, Roger was a champion, so I'm his cousin, so you guys can come train with me now. You know what I mean? Or Henzo was great, or my grandfather created jiu-jitsu, so that's why you should come train with me. But I want people to say, oh yeah, there's a lot of Gracies out there, and Clark, was actually on the battlefield. He was a competitor. He pushed himself. He, fought against some of the best in the sport. And just went out there without fear. And actually enjoyed it for the sport, and instead of just thinking like, it's something that I have to do, or whatever. I don't know. It's just something that I feel, it's part of something that I need to do, is go out there and compete and make a name for myself, like Clark Gracie, not just Gracie, because people are already going to think Gracie when they think of jiu-jitsu. When they think of jiu-jitsu, they're going to think of Gracie. So, that's already like given, but I don't want people to say, oh, okay, you're Gracie, so whatever, you must be related, you must be part of the, you must know jiu-jitsu, your last name is Gracie, but I want people to say, okay, you're Clark Gracie, so there's something a little different than just your last name is Gracie,
It's amazing. Clark, just really quick, just talking about the early days, like in 92, 93, of course, not UFC when it came out and whatnot. I mean, that's really kind of what put Gracie's on the map, I guess you could say. Well, for us anyway, for the general public. Is that something that you have thought about considering MMA at all, or are you purely jiu-jitsu, or do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I guess when I was like a purple belt, I started teaching jiu-jitsu like professionally, like making money, and supporting myself teaching jiu-jitsu. And I was teaching in a boxing club, and I remember teaching an MMA class and with a Muay Thai guy, and we had a lot of fun doing that. And I was actually really liking it, enjoying it. And I started like doing more Muay Thai and boxing, and I thought about it a lot more at that time. But then I thought too, like my sport is jiu-jitsu, my family, and that's something I want to represent. So I kind of made the decision to like focus and be as good as I can be at that one thing instead of being like so at everything, And also, another part of my decision to just focus on jiu-jitsu for right now at least is because I don't really think that the UFC, that the MMA competitions really favor the jiu-jitsu competitor. I think the 5-minute rounds are really too short. You don't see really any 5-minute rounds in a jiu-jitsu tournament unless, it's the older guys. But at the higher level, it's the adult division. It's 10-minute rounds for black belts. And I think sometimes it takes a lot longer to be able to establish a good position. So I think it's just really like a kind of it's a fan sport. It's a sport for the fans, for the spectators. And I don't really like that. I think if I was going to get involved with it, I would want to get involved with it because it's going to actually still show who is the best fighter, not what is the most entertaining fight, And I think some things would have to change. And, like I really thought a lot about Roger's last fight and how, I don't know if you guys saw it in the UFC, he did UFC debut. And in the first round, he took his opponent down, got on the back. And I'm sure going through his mind at the time, he thought, I only have a few minutes here, so I better like take whatever opportunity I have to finish that fight. But I bet you if he knew there was no time limit or if there was a longer time limit, he would have took his time, made his decisions a little bit better. But he took a a quick decision to go for an arm triangle, which wasn't like a really strong opportunity for him at the time. He just kind of went for it, giving it a chance. So, I think some things would have to change. I think some things should change and probably will change in the future for MMA. And in the beginning, MMA was about showing what was the most effective martial art, and the rules were designed like that. My uncle Horian started the UFC for that reason. To show the best martial art, and now it's really just to show who's the best fighter today.
So like,
next month.
Pride had the old rule. I think it was the first round was like 10 minutes or so. Yeah, 10 minutes. And it's like, yeah. What are your thoughts? What kind of rules would you want to see changed?
Well, I don't know. There's a lot of things that could change, but I think definitely the first round at least should be longer. Like Pride used to have. I think 5 minutes is really short to be able to say, I'm gonna figure out this guy. I'm gonna take him down. I'm not gonna get knocked out in the process. I'm gonna get to a good position. I'm not gonna lose it, and I'm gonna submit my opponent. Whereas the striker, all he has to do is stay standing and knock him out. And if you do get in a bad position, you just got to hold on, have good enough jiu-jitsu just to defend until the 5 minutes run out, and then you're going to stand up and you're back in your own world. So you're in a striker's world. Well, what if they stopped the 5 minutes and said, okay, you're going to start back in that same position that you just finished in at the end of the round? Then things would change. It would be interesting, Okay,
that
let's
would
say,
be interesting.
yeah, I remember BJ Penn got Matt Hughes' back, I think twice in one of their fights, and I remember the second time he was just so exhausted, and the end of the match, at the end of the round, they just stood up and start all over again. So it's like reset, and it's like, okay, I got to do all this all over again, But if they had said, okay, end of the round, now let's start again in that same position, I think it's a little more fair, right? So I don't know. I think there's a lot of things that could change. I'm not really one to say what exactly it should be, but definitely could be a little bit better, like anything else.
I know Hoyce had made some recent comments saying that he felt like the new generation of the Gracies had been getting away from the roots as far as MMA goes, and they're not displaying what Gracie Jiu-Jitsu really is. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up, because I would like people to know that I'm not just like your regular competitor that like just focuses just on sport jiu-jitsu. I grew up learning the self-defense part of jiu-jitsu. I still teach that in my academy, as well as the sport side of jiu-jitsu. And I think it's really important that that side of jiu-jitsu is preserved, because realistically, jiu-jitsu could transform into so much of a sport that they forget about the reality of the fight. And that's what I always grew up learning jiu-jitsu was. It was the most realistic way to defend yourself on the street, like where there's no rules, right? So, I remember my dad always saying, oh, these guys doing these other martial arts, these fancy martial arts, they live in the world of fantasy. They have too many rules. If the fight goes to the ground or gets in a clinch, they stop and separate and say, start over. Well, that doesn't happen in the street, right? In the street, it goes to the ground, and whatever happens, happens, So I think it's important to realize what positions you can get punched in the face and what positions you're protected, Keep that in mind, because some jiu-jitsu positions, some sport jiu-jitsu positions will really put you in a position where you're not really thinking about, how safe you are in a street fight situation, right? And I think that's
like inverted guard.
Yeah, that's the real reason why self-defense, jiu-jitsu, martial arts started in the first place. And I think jiu-jitsu is something that in jiu-jitsu, there's something we pride ourselves in, is being able to be the best self-defense in a street fight situation, right? We can defend ourselves and put an end to the fight and be victorious, So in that way, I really admire what my cousins Henner and Hiron are doing, by really preserving that self-defense side of the sport. I think it's important that somebody has to do that. And but there's people in the family too that are just focusing on sport competition. So but I think everyone in the family pretty much has those roots of the self-defense and that street fight uh, ways of Gracie Jiu-Jitsu, reality of it all. I would hate to see someday where Jiu-Jitsu becomes a sport that's like not very realistic, or not just a sport, but a martial art that's not very realistic in a real life fight scenario.
You see that a lot with judo in the Olympics, and I know people have been talking about BJJ being maybe brought into the Olympics at some point. At some point, do you feel like maybe if BJJ got into the Olympics, that it would be further watered down from its self-defense? I mean, as it exists now in sport jiu-jitsu, I mean, there are a lot of rules and limitations and things. And do you feel like it would water it down further being an Olympic sport?
I don't know. I don't know what they would do if it went to the Olympics. I don't know if they would keep the same rules and everything the same as IBJJF is doing right now, the Confederation. But you know, I think it's something good to keep in mind to preserve, the realisticness of jiu-jitsu. I think it would be great if it goes to the Olympics. I think it would be great exposure for the sport, for the martial art itself. I would be really excited. I would love to have the opportunity to say I went to the Olympics, to be a part of that. But realistically, I don't know if that's going to happen. But I think it would be great regardless if it went to the Olympics. And it's just another part of the sport, another evolution of it. So, but whether it really would water it down or anything, I'm not really sure. If they keep adding in rules and rules and rules, then probably.
Well, hey Clark, let's switch gears for a little bit because we're talking about jiu-jitsu and realistic applications of it for defense and whatnot. What about the ADCC? So, can someone correct me if I'm wrong, but is there slamming allowed this year? I thought I heard that.
I think if you're in a submission, you're allowed to slam, but
You
maybe
have to
Clark
slam?
might be more
Yeah, Clark, maybe you know
educated.
more.
Yeah, I'm not. I haven't seen the rules this year or if they've changed anything.
Okay.
I need to do that, but I remember, I believe that slamming is allowed in a takedown. I don't know if it's allowed in in a submission.
Oh, okay. I thought I read something
Yeah,
about
I thought I read that too, where yeah, if you're caught in a triangle, you can slam to get out of it. So anyway, my question was for you is how do you train for that now? Like you train a lot of I guess what they call sport jiu-jitsu. Obviously the Pan Ams, Copa Podio, they have very specific rules and whatnot, and you follow them and you drill with them in mind, of course. But now ADCC coming up, where heel hooks are allowed and maybe slams. I hope you look that up just to make sure. But but
yeah,
like
don't.
yeah, how do you tailor your training for that? Like how do you switch modes like that?
Yeah, honestly, it's something I'm always pretty much, kind of takes us back to like in a street situation. I'm pretty much always kind of prepared, and I remember my father teaching me, like, if you guys train, you can imagine you're in a triangle. The guy wants to pick you up, like I think what is it? Rampage did on Ricardo Arona in Pride and knocked him out, right?
Yes.
And when you're in have the guy in a triangle, if the guy ever stands up, you have to be ready to hook under his leg, because if you hook under his leg, he's not going to be able to lift you anymore. So anytime the guy stands up, I'm already like prepared to do that. Regardless if it's a jiu-jitsu competition, if I'm training in the academy, if I'm in ADCC, or if I'm triangling a guy in the street. Like I'm ready to hook under his leg when he stands up, because I don't know what he's gonna do, but if he does try to pick me up, I'm gonna keep him right there. So always keeping yourself like safe. Like I think it's really important in jiu-jitsu. That goes into like heel hooks too. Like always keeping yourself in a safe position, never letting your opponent get too comfortable. Whether he's getting comfortable in his escape or his attack. So I try to always keep myself in a safe situation. So that.
And so then pretty much at your academy, then when you train with your students, and I'm sure you roll with your students and whatnot, are they allowed to heel hook you? Like, do you allow it in your class? Like in my class, we're allowed if it's controlled and certain levels can do it. But like for yourself, do you kind of say, okay, guys, go ahead, be careful, or do you distinguish certain belt levels not to do it?
Yeah, I mean, it's a very sensitive move, and people can get hurt very easily. So in general, I'll tell, especially the lower belts, like, not to even worry about that right now. That's not really a move that you need to practice doing. You should know that it's there. You should know maybe how to apply it. But I don't really encourage it too much because I think the risks of injury are pretty high compared to what you will gain out of it. So, but when I'm training and I'm training with the more advanced guys, for especially now for ADCC, I want people to go for it. I want to practice, staying out of it, keeping myself safe, and so I don't get submitted or hurt, even worse.
And Clark, how does the ADCC invite process work? I mean, none of us have been invited to ADCC, so we have no idea. but how does it work? Is it like the sheik who calls you personally, or a representative of his who says, we want Clark back, or it was in Israel last year, wasn't it? Was it in Israel last year?
This tournament, yeah, it's actually every 2 years.
Oh,
this
sorry.
tournament happens.
I'm sorry.
And the last one was in Nottingham in the UK. But I think it was last year. There was an ADC tournament in Israel last year that I went to, but it was more of a qualifier for the main event. But they're calling it Abu Dhabi tournament or ADCC tournament now. But I actually just went for a super fight in that event. Yeah, I think they probably have a representative. They have people studying the stats of everybody that competes, mostly the no-gi guys, and they try to. I imagine they try to put together some exciting people in the division. They invited me this year again for the second time to do the under 77 kilos division, but I asked them to go up to the 88 because last time I felt kind of weak at that division. So it was really hard for me to weight cut down to 77. So I'm going to try the upper one this time and just see how it goes. Train hard for it and go for it.
88 kilos. What's the 88 kilos? Anyone know? Like in pounds?
88 kilos is like 194 pounds.
Oh, okay.
And 77 kilos is about 168.
Okay.
I love how we have the American guy telling us what the conversion is to from kilograms.
I use pounds, man. I don't know. I have no idea.
But you're a bad Canadian.
I am. Rami, sorry I interrupted you, Rami.
No, I was gonna ask because you're saying that you're not, because you typically did fight at middle. Like you did when you won Pan Ams this year, was that at middle?
Yeah. Yeah.
So like you're saying now that you. Sorry, it's just that you're saying now you're going to medium. What, other than the fact that you said you felt weaker or whatever it was, how do you decide where you want to go? Because I'm kind of in that middle point where I could go to middle or medium heavy, and I'm not sure what to do.
Yeah, I'm the same situation. I used to fight middle heavy when I was a purple belt, and a few times at brown belt. I think around brown belt is when I made the transition to middleweight, and I started cutting. But I don't really have to cut too much. I cut like 4 or 5 pounds, and I'm pretty much at middleweight generally. So, I think just kind of depends on how hard weight cut is for you, and
Just what you're comfortable with, I guess. What
your body size is like. How you fit in each division. Maybe try both. Try one or the other, and maybe the higher division you'll feel faster, but maybe a little weaker. Maybe in the lower division you'll feel stronger.
Cool.
I like fighting middleweight. Actually, for ADCC, they don't really do like the federation. They're basically like skipping every other weight division. So it's something like every 25 pounds they make a new.
Oh, okay. So it's an even bigger gap.
Yeah, it's like 25 pounds between divisions instead of like the federation. I think it's around 13 pounds.
Okay.
So,
Clark, I think they mentioned are they doing night before weigh-in still?
I don't think so. I think last time when I went, they had just switched over and they're starting to do They do actually day before weigh-ins and day of the fight weigh-ins. So you weigh in the morning, right before your match, and the day before also. So that's
Okay.
what I think. A lot of people switched. They went to a different division because of that last time.
Are they doing that to prevent guys from putting back on too much weight in between the weigh-in and the fight?
Yeah, I'm sure that's why they're doing it. There's some guys that cut down, and the day of the fight they're 30 pounds heavier than what they weighed in. So
Jeez.
for me that's not good because I don't like to cut that much weight. I really hate cutting weight, so it's much better for me.
It seems like a much healthier process as well. I mean, there was
Yeah.
just recently a fighter down in Brazil, I believe, that died from weight cutting. He had a stroke, and
Really?
that was just this past week, actually. So, I mean, something like that sounds a lot safer, anyways. It'll prevent people from cutting it down way too much, right?
Yeah, I mean,
Really quick, Clark. I know we don't want to keep you on too long, but can you just give us a quick some of the upcoming tournaments you have going on? I know you mentioned to me Nogi Worlds coming up. Anything else besides ADCC, Nogi Worlds? Anything else?
well, there's I just did the Copa Podio event where I did a no time limit match, and I was representing San Diego for that match.
Yeah,
That's
that's
where I
right. It was
live.
called the
And
Challenge of Cities. So that's what it is. You're representing San Diego, and he
City
was
Challenge.
representing
Yeah.
Manus.
He was representing Manaus in Brazil.
Sorry.
The guy who is a city in the Amazon, Manaus. So whoever won that is supposed to be in the next one, which is in January. And so we're talking about whether I'm going to do that or not, and I'm kind of struggling with it because it's like right after the holidays, and I might be good to give a break.
Yeah.
A little bit so hard, so intense. And it's going to be a no time limit event, so I'm thinking about that one. There's these guys actually also, I believe they're from Toronto, starting a event called Five.
Five grappling.
Yeah, we know it well over here. Yeah.
Diane
And Ricardo.
Ricardo.
yeah.
Yeah.
So they were wanting me to compete in the end of November in their event. I think they're having somewhere in California.
Yeah, I saw. I think at Copa Podio you had a 5 patch on your gi, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, I saw that.
Nice.
Yeah.
Clark,
So
go ahead.
yeah, so I'm looking to see what I'm gonna do, but definitely ADCC and Nogi Worlds, but
Absolutely.
I'm not sure about.
And then you mentioned, I think, as well in November 11th to 17th, you're doing a camp in Rio. So do you maybe want to talk about that a little bit as well?
Yeah, I'm really excited about it. We're doing a camp. I'm going to be leading the camp with some other guys on my team as well. And we're doing it in my friend's school in the Academy Nova Geração in Leblon in Rio. And it's just a few blocks from the beach. So it's my first time doing a camp. And it's going to be like really the best location in Rio, a week-long camp. And should be a lot of fun, just doing a little bit of tourism, enjoying the city, and having some great training throughout the week. So that's going to be the 11th to the 17th of November, right after the New Worlds.
Yeah, so what can people expect if they go to the camp?
Well, they can expect to have like a really fun time, as well as having great training. Every day we're going to focus on something a little different, so I have a good variety of like what we're working on, and I'm going to try to show like stuff that I like to do all the time, and like in training and in tournaments and stuff that works good for me. And we've got a lot of guys from San Diego going, got some people in Brazil that are also signing up for it just to train with us. And I'm letting my affiliates know in Europe, and so those guys are going to get out of the winter and come into the summer of Brazil. So it should be cool.
So if people are looking for some more information on that, where can they go?
They can go to my website at clarkgracie.com, and they can get more information there, or just give us a call at the academy.
And is space limited? Like, how many people are you accepting?
I'm trying to keep it around less than 20 people if possible, because probably we're gonna have a big van that takes people around. So we don't have to get like two vans. Just keep it to like one big van. Do it when we do like tours of the city, and we take people in a group to different spots, and so it's probably around 15 to 20 is what I'm looking to do. Especially since my first one, I'm not trying to make it too big.
That's fine. Okay.
Awesome.
Yeah,
I know we don't want to keep you too long. Does anybody have any kind of closing questions for Clark at all?
no worries. No worries.
Oh yeah, no, we had a whole bunch of questions, Clark. But yeah, like I said, we want to keep you. You know, we want to let you go live your life. So we're gonna. But you answered all the big ones.
I don't get to see you guys every day, right? So if you guys have some interesting questions, like I'm happy to answer them.
That's awesome. No, thanks. No, I
So
mean, yeah, I'm good.
okay. So Clark, did you have anybody you want to shout out to, sponsors, anybody you want to thank, anything like that?
Yeah, I really want to thank my manager, Francis Keller. He's always doing an amazing job helping me getting ready for my matches, and with all my sponsors, and just keep me organized over here. Some of my sponsors, Acai Roots, Shoyu Rolls, have really been hooking me up and helping me stay ready and with the nice gear that they have and stuff. Let's see. I just got sponsored by those guys, Five, Ricardo and Diane, at Five. So I want to thank those guys, especially for the last one at Copa Podio. And Fighter Tech, those guys give me a lot of good supplements, even though I try not to take too much, but definitely like BCAA and whey protein. So they make some really good stuff. They're out of Phoenix. And yeah, I'm not forgetting anybody, but yeah, thanks to all my training partners here in San Diego, and really appreciate you guys inviting me for the interview.
No,
It'll be
no, thank you very much. It was
the
amazing.
last one.
Yeah, it was amazing having you on, man. Like I said, we stayed away from the obvious. You know what I mean? We didn't want to go on that, so we didn't ask you about those. You know, the whole omoplata thing. But no, just really one quick question though. Okay, I know you were signing off. You were just about to hit the end button on your phone, but but the omoplata, like I just have to know. Like I think everyone's doing it now, right? And like this, like just tell me, do you just train that like 10,000 times or something like that? Is it like you did it on Diego Borges, and I mean everyone knows you're gonna do it, and you do it. Like is this something like, well, what advice do you have for us, as you know, as hobbyists, as jiu-jitsu guys? Like, do you just drill it over and over again? Do you just roll a lot and try it and rolling and fail a lot, like, you know, when you first started it, or what exactly?
Well, I believe like just like surfing, they say the best surfer is the one that has the most fun, and I think jiu-jitsu is the same. I think jiu-jitsu is supposed to be there to improve your life, make you have a good time, keep you healthy. And the way I started doing omoplata was with the same philosophy, was just having fun with it, going for it. I started having some success with it, and started slowly evolved into like one of my go-to moves. And and then I started becoming a little bit more diverse with it, and I naturally try to make my jiu-jitsu a little bit acrobatic, a little different, a little bit unique, and look for new things. And I find that very interesting to, like, every time I find a new choke or find a new way to twist the guy's arm, I think it's really interesting. I think everybody loves that, always finding new stuff. So we're constantly searching for new ways to do things, and the most effective way to do things. And I found omoplata to be like a move that it's a move, if you have patience, study it, and figure out like how to hold. I mean, it's your whole body wrapped around the guy's shoulder. It's all your hips, your both legs, and you have a lot of power to control the guy. And if you can stick with it, and then I started studying more ways to be able to finish it, other than just like going your standard directly sit up and finish the shoulder. So there's a lot of little tricks and little hooks and little ways to even choke your partner, and people don't even know why they're tapping, whether they're being choked or their arm is being twisted or what, or if it's their other arm. And so it ends up being pretty crazy, and getting into positions that people start thinking, whoa, you turned that guy into a pretzel. I don't know. It's for me, it started off by just being something fun, and then I guess this whole evolution of like drilling became important. Became like popular, and people were saying how important it is to drill. So then I actually started drilling it. I said, okay, well, I'm gonna pick like my top moves, and omoplata was one of them. So I thought, okay, let me drill this and make it just like really natural to get into, in a few different setups. So that was something that I did. I think I did that a lot last year. Just like entering it in different entrances and making it so that I could easily access it, make it really natural. So definitely drilling helps. Definitely helps. And but I don't think it's really necessary or even the best idea to try and drill something so much that you don't even enjoy doing it anymore. I don't really believe in, not that it's not effective, but I don't really encourage people to do something to the point where they don't even enjoy it anymore. They just feel like it's like a chore, like it's something that they, feel like they're doing because they have to do it. I mean, it's just jiu-jitsu. It's just like, have fun with it, enjoy it. If you're not having fun with it anymore, then maybe you should do something different, pick a different move, or I don't know. So I try to, as long as you're enjoying it and having fun with it, and then your mind is more creative and you just enjoy what you're doing, so it becomes a lot better. So I'm still having fun with omoplata and finding different ways to stick with it, to follow it, to choke the guy. And now I'm focusing on using it, transitioning into nogi. So it's a little bit harder to stick with it, but finding different ways that I can use it to submit some guys nogi. I've only done a few times in competition, so starting to use that, and then finding other moves that I can use nogi too.
That's awesome. There's one question, guys, I just want to ask Clark from someone else. Clark, do you at all berimbolo?
Yeah, I'm starting to like incorporate it into a little bit into my game, and starting to just go for it to see what it's going to come out of it. But I'm not really like, I feel like every academy has like a 19-year-old blue belt who goes into berimbolo right away. Like immediately when he puts you in his guard, he's like already setting it up. So I'm definitely not one of those guys, but sometimes I'll just go for it just to see what comes out of it. I actually really like when people berimbolo on me, because sometimes I find it interesting to see where it can end up, and I try to counter it so that I take their back or something like that, So those
awesome.
are things I like to do, and I don't think it's a bad move at all, It's nice. But,
awesome. All right. Well, sorry, that was the longest wrap up ever, guys. Sorry, I know we're supposed to wrap up and then ask these questions, so that's my mistake. So, but thanks again, Clark. Thanks for being on, man. It was amazing having you on, and good luck on ADCC.
Thanks.
And we also just want to quickly.
Yeah.
We also just want to quickly thank our sponsor, VHTS. They're a gi company. You can check them out at veryhardsubmit.com. Had to throw that in there.
All right. So I think that officially wraps up episode 15. So thanks a lot to Clark. It was great. And yeah, like Ahmed said, we'll be watching at ADCC this year.
All right. Sounds good. Thanks a lot, guys. Appreciate it.
All right. Thanks. Take care.
Thanks, man.